What's up, guys? It's Diego from the Foot and Fist Sports Network. Finally back to talk about some mixed martial arts. It's been since like July 29th since there was a big UFC card, and so I did a Fight Fallout show after that for the Jon Jones versus DC fight, obviously. And it's probably been a solid month since I did an MMA video, and it's finally time to get back into it. This weekend, which is tonight actually, the time I'm filming this, is Stefan Struve versus Volkov, I think is the guy's name. I'm not really doing a video about that because I don't really feel the need to. I don't think it's a big enough card to really talk about. Let's just go ahead and jump right into Conor McGregor, whatever his next step's going to be, because realistically, other than him, there are no stars in mixed martial arts left. Jon Jones has fallen once again victim to his stupidity and is going to be suspended for who knows how long. And of course, that hasn't really been decided what exactly he's going to be suspended for how long, and stuff like that. But he has tested positive for the steroid, so more than likely it's going to be around 4 years. And if that is the case, will he ever come back? We have no fucking clue. So the only star left is Conor McGregor. Ronda Rousey is fucked off and is probably going to be joining the WWE apparently. She's trash anyway, so good riddance. Who else is there? There's just no other stars. Anderson Silva's old. GSP's coming back, but is he as big a star as he used to be? I doubt it. I don't really think he's going to be that big of a star on his comeback because a lot of the new fans probably don't even know who he is. There's a lot of people who haven't even seen him fight live. So it's very, very different now, the landscape of things for GSP. So Conor McGregor is the only really big name guy. And the big question is, what's going to be next for him? Well, there's only a couple options, really, that really make sense. And first of all, we have to say, it really depends on if the UFC is going to be willing to pay up. Because after fighting against Floyd Mayweather, he earned a flat $30 million check. So his upfront money was $30 million. He's not going to go back to the UFC and be like, okay, I'll fight for $3 million again. Now I'm not going to fight for 5. I'm not going to fight for 10. He's not going to be fighting for anything less than 20. 15, 20, 15, like there's almost no way in hell. But 20, I would say is possible because realistically, the UFC, as much as it is a bigger sport than boxing right now, and as much as it is the premier combat sport in the world, it simply doesn't have the name value among the fighters in the roster that can really give him the type of fight that's going to guarantee him a ton of money. So $20 million, I would say, is probably acceptable for him. But we'll see what happens because now these McGregor Promotions and stuff like that, McGregor Sports and Entertainment, it's interesting to see how exactly that's going to work because he's going to be making promoter money, fighter money, just a lot of odd things going on there with pay-per-view points and stuff. It's really interesting what exactly is going to happen between him and the UFC in general because it's just going to be a very weird battle there because he's used to being like a massive partner with them, but now he's sort of like going into his own promoter type of stuff. So what's going to happen there? We'll find out. But anyway, what are his options as opponents? Well, there's really only 3 options, and one of them depends on who wins between Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee. And for me personally, I would prefer to see him fight the winner of this because one of the main complaints about Conor McGregor and really the UFC as a whole right now is that champions don't defend their titles. They're always looking for money fights. So Conor McGregor beat Jose Aldo, immediately moved up, was supposed to fight Dos Anjos for the 155 title. Dos Anjos pulled out, so he fought Nate Diaz. He lost to Nate Diaz, fought Nate Diaz again, beat him this time, win against Eddie Alvarez, beat him, and then went over to Floyd Mayweather. So he hasn't defended his title a single time. He defeated Jose Aldo, that means so Jose, Nate, and Eddie. He's had 3, and then Floyd. He's had 4 fights without defending his title once. Not even a single time. So the big complaint that a lot of fans have, and all of his real haters out there are saying, he's never defended his title. He needs to defend his title. And me being a fan, I kind of agree with that. I like to see champions defend their titles. Conor McGregor, in my opinion, has definitely shown over the last couple of years that he has the heart of a champion and he has the skill set of a champion because to go 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, to obliterate Eddie Alvarez like that, to get redemption against Nate Diaz like that, and destroy Jose Aldo in that fashion, he's really shown that whatever you want to think about him, he is without a doubt a champion in the UFC. He will always be. Even if he didn't defend his title, he would always be really a legend of the sport because of what he's done, but he would definitely be a champion. All right, maybe not like the greatest of all time, like Anderson Silva, GSP, Jon Jones, or some other guys, but still, he's done a lot of things in there that would definitely warrant him to be on that Mount Rushmore because of what he's done for the sport. Most importantly, he's really gotten a lot of new eyes on the sport. But he needs to defend his title to realistically be considered one of the greatest of all time. He has to go out there. He has to defend that title. Who better to defend the title against than either Kevin Lee or Tony Ferguson? Because both of those guys have massive reasons to be fighting. Tony Ferguson is arguably the best fighter in that division. Conor McGregor has the skill set, at least striking, but Tony Ferguson has the striking and the jiu-jitsu. His pure striking is nowhere near on Conor's level. It's not as clean, it's not as crisp, but he has some monster striking. He's very, very odd when he fights, so it would be a tremendous striking battle between him and Conor. Kevin Lee, on the other hand, he's a very young fighter. He's like 24. I think I think he turns 25 today, which is September 2nd. So that's a good thing for him. He's young. He has plenty of time to develop. An early fight with Conor would give him a lot of exposure early on and potentially turn him into a bigger star in the future once he starts to get things up. Because right now, he has a really good skill set, but he can only improve. Every time he fights, you can see a lot of improvement, and there's a lot coming for this guy in his future. Plus, he's friends with Mayweather. He trains at Mayweather's gym a lot of the times. He spars boxing at Mayweather's gym. So that's an extra added piece of, I guess you could say, propaganda that the UFC can use. There's sort of like a rivalry. Like, will Conor McGregor avenge his loss to a certain degree against one of Floyd's boys? That would be an interesting storyline, and one that the UFC would probably be interested in. But especially if they can get Floyd to somehow be involved, like sort of push the fight and build up some hype around there too. That would definitely be something I would see both guys doing. If Floyd gets a little piece of the money, I would see him doing just about anything for money. So that would be very interesting and something I wouldn't see as unlikely as maybe some other people think. So the winner of that fight, in my opinion, should be fighting Conor McGregor next. The other person, and this is probably the one going to be wanted by popular demand, that is Nate Diaz. Everybody wants to see that trilogy fight, me included. The reason I want the other guys to fight first is because I want to see Conor McGregor defend his title and then fight Nate Diaz for the title. That way Nate Diaz could possibly get a title if he does win, which is a title shot is something he deserves after such a long time and being pushed down by the UFC for so long. After beating Conor once, he probably deserves it, so I would definitely like to see that. The only thing is Nate Diaz is asking for $30 million, and Conor McGregor just made $30 million to fight Floyd Mayweather. You really think that Nate's going to make $30 million to fight Conor? Like, is he even going to make 10? 10 is a hard sell. 10 is a hard sell for Nate Diaz, honestly, because without Conor, he doesn't sell. He's never sold in his life. Before he fought Conor the first time, he was making 40 grand to fight, I think maybe 40 grand to win. Something like that. He was really making chump change. For a guy who's been in the sport for that long, for a guy that's been at the top for that long, he was making that little money, which just shows what the UFC really thinks of him. He's not a draw for them without Conor. Nick Diaz is the Diaz brother draw. Nate just simply isn't for some reason. I don't know why. I think Nate's a better fighter. Probably, I would say he's probably a better fighter. He's more well-rounded. But Nick is just a bigger name. He's got the better trash talk. Nate's just very weird, so I think that sort of puts a lot of people off. Plus, he's the bit more of the he comes across more as a bully than I would say Nick. So I think that's just his problem. I think that's kind of the problem with the Diaz brothers, but most importantly for Nate. I like them. I like the guys, but a lot of times they really rub me the wrong way because they get on my nerves. They're just annoying. A lot of times they're annoying because they say a lot of stupid things and they make themselves look really bad. They make themselves just look like ignorant, dumb people who can't be trusted, which is why the UFC doesn't really put a lot of faith in them in the big events. Of course, if they sign the contract, they'll usually show up to the fight, but there's a lot of stuff before the fight that you have to do too, and they just haven't over the years shown that they are willing to do that, which is why I think the UFC, if it's not Conor McGregor, they aren't really willing to give Nate Diaz, because he's even worse than Nick, the opportunity to really shine without Conor. So I think this fight will happen down the line. I just think that right now, when it comes to the sport, not thinking about the money and stuff like that, it would be better if Conor was going to defend his title against one of those guys. Because if he does beat them, either Kevin Lee or Tony Ferguson, because if he does beat them, the Nate Diaz fight becomes even bigger because it'll be for the title. It'll be Conor McGregor as a 100% champion. Because remember, those two guys are fighting for the interim title. So it's not like you can just do Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz when there's already an interim title in place where there's basically two titles for the same division. You kind of can't do that. Because if you do, and the guy isn't injured and he's actually going to be fighting, the main champion is actually fighting, it just feels cheap. It just feels cheap. It really waters down the division and waters down the importance of what a champion is and what a title means. I think they shouldn't do that. I really don't. I really, really don't. Because Conor McGregor isn't going to be there forever. But the impact of what exactly they do right now with each of their champions will last forever. Because what they do sets a precedent for the future. And Conor McGregor, as big of a name as he is, he shouldn't be getting that much special treatment. Like, he should be fighting, defending his title against the interim champion, and then facing the next contender, which is Nate Diaz. That's my opinion. Let me know what yours is. Who do you think should be next, and exactly why do you think that should be the case? Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and please share it with some of your friends. That's very helpful. And as always, I'm very grateful to anybody who does that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Diego from the Foot and Sports Network, and I will see you in the next video.